Hello, everybody. It is Monday, November 2nd. I'm sorry, Tuesday, November 2nd. So as you come into class, you're going to do your do now. What is one notable thing that you did for Halloween, classroom appropriate? And two, which of the plants in the chart would be the most likely to be thriving in a tropical rainforest-like environment? And how do you know that? So I need you to think back about what you know about rainforests and plants that might survive well, and answer this question. So you can pause right now, go into Schoology, and in Schoology open the do now that says 11-2. That's going to be in your materials folder. Welcome back. We're going to talk about our learning targets for today, though. Learning targets. I will demonstrate my understanding for competition for resources and ecosystems. Now, if you notice, it has two numbers there. It has both an 8th grade TEK, a Texas Education Knowledge Standard, and a 7th grade TEK, because this is sort of going back over what you've learned before. That you can apply biotic and abiotic knowledge to different scenarios, interpret charts, graphs about ecosystems, define competition, give examples, and as you're doing that, you're using the words consumer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, producer, and omnivore. So let's take a look. Here's a recap, and this is a recap of your daily slides. So we're going to come over here to your notebook and say biotic versus abiotic. There we go. And I'm going to go up here. And this, my friends, is on slide 5. So abiotic. Water is abiotic because it doesn't because it's not living. An eagle, though, is biotic. We had the definitions here, non-living and an eagle. Pollution is abiotic. Logs, it's a tough one, but it's actually biotic because those were living organisms. Sunlight is abiotic. Bacteria, those little critters, those yeasty beasties, are biotic. Mold is also biotic. Isn't that kind of cool? These guys help break things down. And temperature is abiotic. So if you hadn't done slide 5, we now have just done it together. All right, we're going to go back to our slideshow. So we've just completed slide 3. Now, number 2, how do you read arrows on a food web? So how do we read this? So if you see, we'll start at the green plants, and the green plants all point away. So this is what's being eaten or lunch, and this is the object or consumer that is now eating them. So our green plant is actually a producer. It produces its own food for itself, and then it has enough extra that another organism could eat it. So our beetle will eat that, our grasshopper, and our snail. But what happens when something dies? Well, depending on a lot of things, but the biggest depends is going to be is if it's one of these somewhere here in the middle, a lot of these will all die out. But many times if there's the snail's only source of food is the plant, so if he dies out, it affects here, but it affects everybody in their little arrow line of sight. So if the grasshopper died out, it would affect the shrew, the spider, and the wood mouse. Okay. And is there anybody who just eats the grasshopper? Well, luckily for the spider, no, he eats beetles and grasshoppers. So he'd still have a source of food, but he'd still have to overcome quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see as we progress on. And then 3, whenever plants are getting taller or we are comparing heights of different plants, what is the most likely resource they are competing for? And I really like this picture because it shows you they're not competing for soil, they're not competing for water, they're competing for sunlight, meaning the taller you are, the more sunlight you get. Okay. So how could you describe energy in a pyramid? So right here we have it. At the very bottom, we have our soils and our decomposers. Okay. And photosynthesis happens. So our plants, our primary consumers, we also in a energy pyramid call those producers. Then we have our herbivores, those that only eat plants. Okay. And every time we go up, we do lose a little bit of energy each time. Okay. So we have our rabbits eat the plants. The rabbits are eaten by the snakes, and the snakes are the top of the food chain. But he is a tertiary. So we have our primary, our secondary, and our tertiary. So now here on our other chart here, we have our herbivore, which is our primary consumer. Again, matches here. Carnivore is our secondary consumer. And then our top carnivore eats everybody. He's the big dog. Okay, so those are just some ideas. And again, you can pause this at any moment. So now you're going to go to the quizzes link posted in Schoology. It's an assignment. It will be in your assignments. And you will click on that link and you will put your first and last initial or your first and last name. No funny names, just your name and no icons or anything. Take the quiz, take it seriously. And if you come over here to your notebook, we said put your quiz score here. So we're working on 811A right here. So your quiz score, you would then, let's say I'm going to move the red block over and put it in the bottom. And let's say I got a 70. Oops. I'm going to fix that. Hold on a second. I'm going to tell this to copy, and we're going to paste that right there. Paste. Oops, brought it there. Let's bring a little friend over here, and I moved it, and I've got a 70. So I've now documented my first quiz. This is that documenting the quiz that I'm talking about right here in this slide, in slide 7. And when you're done, if there's anything missing or failed, make sure you check, even from Unit 3, the redo or the unit review. Maybe you need to turn in your weather project. If you need your quiz released so you can retake the Unit 3 810AB quiz, we can do that. You would have your Unit 4 vocabulary sheet, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So I will see you all either Wednesday or Thursday in block day. Have a great day.